Looking different, aren't we, friends and YouTubers alike? Yeah, it was actually for Halloween, in an attempt to do Sweeney Todd. Or also an excuse to actually dye my hair for the first time ever. Which reminds me, I should probably tell my past self how this turned out. October 31st, 2009. Hey.
Yeah, you actually did it.
You're about to do it really shortly.
No, I was just gonna shave my beard. See? You look weird.
Anyway, this is my new room. Boom mic. Just before I get into what's going on in this episode, I'd like to first point out everything I shot with that friggin' flip cam. The file type is causing a lot of trouble. You know, it looks good, sounds alright. I don't think it was ever intended to be edited though. It's just the type of camera where you shoot a bunch of things, put them in whatever order they came in, and send online. Done. But in the meantime, it's time for a new segment called
Cues. What's your opinion of Amerime Wiki if you're unsure as to what I mean, ... though I have a feeling you might already know.
Anime-influenced animation refers to non-Japanese works of animation that emulate certain aspects of the visual style of anime. To answer Shadow Raptor 84's query, let me give you a little perspective on my personal history with anime. In the early days as a kid, I never thought much about anime, that is to say, I didn't know there was any discernible difference between one animated series and another. Considering that the children's entertainment we watched was coming from Europe, the States, and Canada as well, and we still labeled them as cartoons, why should we assume any of these cartoons were any different? And if you were to argue, well, it was drawn by Japanese artists. Then, for all intensive purposes, the real Ghostbusters was anime. Look at that credit list. Look at that intro sequence. Anyway, it wasn't until Sailor Moon came out in the 90s that I really started noticing the difference. There was something oddly unique about this cartoon. In fact, many things were different. Character designs were tall and slender, expressions and other emotive traits were different than most I've seen. Even the plot of high school girls battling the supernatural forces of evil was different when you think about what we grew up with. I was hooked. From there on, I had to find out more about what made this animated series so different. And in between visiting many Sailor Moon shrines online, two new terms came up: Japanimation and anime. Now, just to skip ahead, I've never really been too fond of the term Japanimation, as it always seems to be a little more derogatory, and it was more often than not associated with the general ignorant understanding at the time. Japanimation? Don't you mean those porno cartoons with the tentacles and the things? Which is true to a point. To my knowledge, no other animation industry has such a market for, well, I refuse to call it mature content, but animated content intended for a mature audience. But that being said, I pursued this anime, which led me and my family to discover other series that on first look one would say, isn't that Sailor Moon? Hey, isn't that Dragon Ball? But we knew the truth. Everyone else was only on the surface level of what was on TV, while we went deeper to find much richer series on VHS. Now I can go on about when Trigon came out and our first anime convention experience, but the point I'm trying to make is, at the time, anime felt like something special and exclusive to us, because no one else at school knew what it was. To be into anime was to be in the club. And that's a key element to the fans of many things, like indie bands and web flash series. The idea that they are in the in, and everyone else doesn't know about it, or just doesn't get it, makes you feel special. So when Amerime started surfacing, it was blasphemy. And ironically enough, a lot of it came out from Canada, with Totally Spies and Martin Mysteries. At first, it was an offense to all that was anime because it was trying to be anime, when it was clearly not. And there lied the legitimate reason to hate on it. Amerime didn't understand anime. It was an impression of anime. It didn't seem genuine. It felt like the script would have just said, character says something dumb with a sweat mark appears on head just like in the Japanimation thing there. Other character falls down because that's what they do in Japanimation. Don't ask me why, just do it because the kids love it. And similar treatment for this anime manga style showed up on paper form as Amerime manga? When Archie Comics just had to get into this manga thing kids were all about, they converted their Sabrina the Teenage Witch series into a shoujo property. And they tried their darndest, using all the trademarks and staples. As Strongbad once said,
and for some reason, I got blue hair. You gotta have blue hair. Then there's my mouth. Real tiny when it's closed, ridiculously huge when it's open.
and worst of all, the blushing. Yes, blushing is a big part of shoujo manga, but characters don't blush on every single panel of every single page of every single issue. I swear Sabrina was going to have a stroke with all the blood pressure going to her face. Anyway, that was my thoughts on the Amerime front of the late 90s and mid-2000s, but there was actually a bunch of exceptions, and really strong ones at that. In the early days of the Canadian animation network Teletoon, the miniseries Cybersix was aired. It was actually a Japanese-Canadian co-production based on a French comic property, I think. and featured many of the Ocean Group voice talents, which were also the English language dubbers for the Viz properties. Just watch Ranma 1/2, they were an awesome cast. And Cybersix was just amazing. With the high quality animation of anime, the simple yet endearing designs of European comics, and a spot on voice cast, it was a great though brief series. Now there's only really been one other Amerime series since then that deserves such high praises, and that's Nickelodeon's Avatar: The Last Airbender. Those of you who haven't really given time to it may chalk it up as just another anime lookalike series. But like Cybersix, the series didn't just settle with the anime look, it actually had depth. The martial arts are authentic, the characters are believable, the world and its variety of cultures are diverse and earnest enough that they may as well exist. It was just well done. And even a rarity in North American series geared towards kids, where most of them are one-off gag episodes that you can watch in any order due to their self-contained plots and everything returning to the status quo by the end of the episode, Avatar had a continuous story arc throughout all 3 seasons, where the characters kept moving on a journey, very much like many anime series. And not to mention the steamy love triangles along the way. Now of course there are other series that have also done well with the anime look and style, but let me just cross the finish line here. So, ShadowRaptor84, you're wondering what my thoughts on Amerime were? Well, it has the potential to be great, but only when it's true to itself as a series beyond incorporating the anime style. Otherwise, it'll just be a Me Too series. In short, it shouldn't be like something, it should be something. Well, that's all for this week's episode of Talking to the Camera. If you have any questions you'd like to throw my way, either post it on the main page, not a response to this video because it's easier to find on the main page, or email to talkingtodecamera@gmail.com. My arm. And to conclude this retrospective on anime, here's a quick dub of a series that stays near to my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, the Samurai Pizza Cats fan club oath!
The Pizza Cats are samurai, and I'd like to note,
their antics take your breath away.
like furballs in your throat. We kittens are a special breed. We never call retreat.
Whenever Big Cheese knocks us down,
We land upon our feet.
so hail to thee, O Pizza Cats! Please ring your little bell. Although you may be pen and ink, we know you'll fight like
Pizza Cats!
Samurai Pizza Cats. We hope you like the show, it's the best that we could do. Samurai Pizza Cats. If you could do better, then we'd leave it up to you. Just a reminder, you might like to know, the cats will be back for another big show. Oh gosh. Samurai Pizza Cats. They're fighting crime. Oh yes, all over town. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 2, 4, 6, 8. Why do we expect a raise? Samurai Pizza Cats. Read all the credits so you'll know who did the work. Samurai